Now let's try to understand and take a look at the times during which the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, was born. He was born in what is now Makkah, Saudi Arabia. Arabs at that time were predominantly idol worshippers. That is, they believed in many gods. The Kaaba itself held within itself various idols of gods, and people came to worship them. Different religious backgrounds, different beliefs, different cults, they used to all come there and worship their gods. Makkah at that time was a major trading route and the religious hub. People used to come, and when these worshippers used to come, it used to be good business as well. People used to do a lot of trading. There was a lot of buying and selling of various items. So the people of Makkah at that time were happy and satisfied with what they were earning. But they were a barbaric nation. They fought amongst each other frequently and violently, oftentimes over very petty issues. For example, if one tribe's camel goes into another tribe's area and starts grazing over there, they would start a war just on that basis. If there was a camel race and one person won and the other lost, the other person who lost would kill the person who won and a war would start, lasting for decades upon decades. It was a time when women were considered to be second-rate citizens. Daughters were often buried alive at a very young age. There was hardly a sense of morality or character to be found anywhere. There was no hope for these people. And their vendettas and quarrels were endless. They seemed to go on forever. And it seemed at that point in time that society was coming to an absolute end. That they had sunk to their lowest and it couldn't get any worse. Now, the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, was born in the year 570 to Abdullah and Amina in Makkah, Saudi Arabia. His father died, the Holy Prophet's father, he died before his birth. And his mother passed away when he was only 6. He was raised by his uncle, Abu Talib, and he was given his name by his grandfather, Abdul Muttalib. Muhammad means the praised one. And when asked, why did he keep this name? Abdul Muttalib replied, I did so with the desire that my grandson would be praised by Allah in heaven and by men on this earth. History shows that the name of Muhammad ﷺ is uttered and praised more times than any other person in history. In fact, it is not only men who praise this remarkable man, but also the creator of the heavens and the earth and the inhabitants of the heavens, the angels. Allah Ta'ala mentions in Surah Al-Azab, chapter 33, verse 56, verily, Allah sends blessings upon the Prophet, and his angels ask Allah to bless him. O you who have believed, ask Allah to send blessings upon him and greet him with peace. This is our Holy Prophet. He was neither tall and lanky, neither was he short and heavy set. When he looked at someone, he looked them straight in the eyes. He was most generous hearted, most truthful in speech, mild tempered, and the most noblest of them in lineage. Anyone who described him said, I never saw before or after him the like of him. He was honest and fair in his dealings. He didn't drink or gamble or indulge in any such activities which at that time were considered completely acceptable. Unfortunately, this seems to be the case today as well. His friends and enemies gave him the title of Sadiq and Al-Amin, the truthful and the trustworthy. Friends and enemies alike. There was no denying the fact that how honest an individual he was. He was also an illiterate. He could neither read nor write. And he was a humble merchant by profession. A merchant who changed the shape of our world. He was a father, a son, a husband, a social, spiritual, political and military leader, and exceptional at all. If you study his life, you can find out things and relate to him on different levels. Learn so much from him, so much from his character and his personality. Yet he was the kind of man who was extremely down to earth. Despite having all of these qualities, extremely down to earth. He used to do his own housework. Sometimes cook food in his house to help his wife. He used to mend his own clothes and shoes. He cared for the poor and the needy. He used his money to buy slaves and set them free. He used to sit on the floor with the poor and eat with them. He used to walk around without bodyguards. He never made any palaces or monuments for himself and strictly forbade all of his companions to do so. That do not make me the God. I am not God. I am only a messenger telling you that there is one God and worship Him. Don't do what they did, the ones who came before you. Nothing for himself, everything for Allah. That was the purpose behind his entire life. And we'll go and discuss some incidents from the life of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and his companions, and try to understand what kind of character they possessed. In Makkah, one day the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, was walking in the streets, and he saw that there was an old lady who was trying to put her luggage on top of her camel. And without asking her, are you a Muslim, are you a non-Muslim, which tribe are you from, which sect do you belong to, without asking a question, he just went straight up to her and wanted to help her out. And he did help her. He took all of her luggage. He didn't have to do that, he did it. He took all of her luggage, loaded it on top of the camel. Then he held the rope of the camel and started walking the old lady back to her house. And on the way, he talked with her, comforted her, made it a pleasant experience for her. And by the time they reached the house of the old woman was so impressed, saying, "Who are you? Such a wonderful person. We don't find men like you. So caring. I mean, I'm not your relative or a friend or anything like that. Yet you've helped me and gone out of your way to help me." And she said, "How can I repay you? Tell me, I want to repay you, but I'm afraid I'm a very poor woman. I don't have much. What I could possibly give you is advice." And keep in mind that advice in those days was bought and sold. You could buy advice like you buy a camel or you buy a car. So advice was very precious. So she said, "I have nothing to give you but advice." So the Holy Prophet accepted. He said, "Absolutely. What advice do you have?" And she said, "There is a man. His name is Muhammad. Stay away from him. He's very evil. I have been told that he is stopping us from worshipping our gods, and he is trying to stop us from following the teachings of our forefathers. So my advice to you is, this valuable advice, stay away from Muhammad." The Holy Prophet smiled and he nodded his head. And then as he was about to leave, she said, "Wait, you didn't tell me your name." The Holy Prophet turned around, smiled and said, "I am Muhammad." And that woman, at that very moment, said, "Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh." Just by the character of this man. She said, "If you treated me this way, surely you are a prophet. And whatever I've heard about you is wrong. Because now I've seen you in person." So even for us who do dawah and try to call people to the path of Allah, it is important not just to talk the talk, but walk the walk. Do as the Prophet did. Many converted to Islam just by observing the wonderful life of the Holy Prophet. The Holy Prophet strongly enjoined the duty of kind and generous treatment upon slaves, upon servants, upon the poor, upon the laborers, the people who are engaged in manual work. He said, feed them with the food which you eat, clothe them with such clothing as you wear, and do not cause trouble to Allah's creatures. At another place he said, those whom Allah has made your dependents are your brothers, servants and helpmates. Anybody whose brother has been made subservient to him ought to feed him with the food he eats and clothe him with the clothes he wears. Command him not to do that which he is unable to do, and if he becomes necessary to do so, then he should help him in doing the job. So this attitude was rejected by the people of Makkah at the time.